let's call the meeting to order.
Okay.
Roll call.
Mrs. Trout?
Here.
Mr. Moran?
Here.
Mrs. Lamacchia?
Here.
Ms. Koenig?
Here.
Okay, start off with the Facilities and Finance Committee report.
Great, so we're going to talk about project planning first. As the library management facility staff review the current facilities plan that was compiled in 2016 and begin to prioritize the work that is possible as a result of additional levy funding, we've determined that there is a need for broader strategic facilities review. This broader perspective will provide opportunities for robust planning and community engagement regarding all service points, which will ensure we are balancing available resources with community needs. We've hired Group 4 Architecture, Research, and Planning, Inc. to assist in establishing guiding planning principles, which will be used to create a planning framework for a comprehensive facilities master plan. In addition, Group 4, recognized as experts in the field of strategic facilities planning for public libraries centered on community and stakeholder engagement, will provide services to engage the public on the immediate needs at the main library in Price Hill branch. We anticipate the initial phase of Group 4's work to be completed in November. Once the framework is complete, the library will issue a request for proposal to complete a facilities master plan. David Schnee, Director of Planning and Design with Group 4, is the principal on our project and is here today to launch our work for development of our planning principles. David, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and the project. It would be wonderful.
Thank you, Trustee Conan and other trustees and members of the public. My name is David Schnee, Principal of Group 4 Architecture, Research, and Planning. With me is Carolyn Karlberg, one of our associates, and we very much appreciate the opportunity to work with you as the trustees, library staff, and the community on this key part of the project, which we, my paraphrase is planning to plan, to really create a good foundation for moving forward. So a brief agenda will tell you a little bit about us, summarize again the purpose and scope of this project, the context, talk about why planning, and talk about what the components of a master plan will be, as you were describing, that would come in a future phase, and talk about the other part of it, the key ingredients of planning principles and engagement, which is essential to success. So a little bit about Group 4 Architecture, Research, and Planning. We've had the good privilege of being focused primarily on public sector architecture, and a third of our practice has been on public libraries, having worked on planning or designing over 400 libraries to date. We have the opportunity of working with great thought leaders from around the country and the world, and are helping invent and participate with you, your library, in inventing what is the best of traditional services and future services, always keeping the library relevant. And what we're doing with you today is really the leadership in library planning. This will be maybe our close to 18th project in Ohio, and we do lots of projects around on master plans, particularly with large library systems, ones that serve populations similar to the Hamilton County and have lots of branches. And so we bring a lot of unique perspectives of your peers here to assist in the planning. So the context, of course, all these projects, it's not about what we've done elsewhere. It's really grounding ourselves in what makes PLCH a fantastic library, starting with your mission, vision, and values that will be central to our work. We recognize that and are excited to work with you, to learn from you, because you are a fantastic, high-performing library. And what's great is that you're striving to continue to be fantastic and break new records and continue to be tremendously impactful to the community. You are, in your work, are transforming lives, and that is just such a fantastic opportunity and obligation that we take seriously moving forward. The map behind you with all the detailed streets with the red dots is the shows where your maps are, and we decide all your facilities are, and we started part of this work in redrawing the map so that we can better understand how your library system is laid out. Each of these different circles are approximately sized by the different proportions of size of your libraries. The star, of course, is not in proportion because that would take up half of the map, being your main library. And so we start and we color code them by the different number of hours they have, and red lines around them are for which facilities are leased. And you have a rich and complex system. We look forward to learning about it more, and this will be something we'll address both in our short-term planning and in the long-term planning you'll want to look at more. And as we do a little sort of photo gallery of your different branches here, this is laid out in proportion to their sizes relative to your overall system, just shy of 1 million square feet, with the main library with south and north buildings combined being approximately a 500,000 square feet. And then your 19 branches that are under, I think the heading might be a little, might have been out of date here, between 10 to 15,000 square feet, greater than 10,000, and then your other branches under 5,000 and above 5,000, and then your other 6 branches less than 5,000. So your neighborhood branches, you have lots of small branches, and we've seen in other high-performing library systems that you often have great resources there, but often the libraries are constraining your system. And as Winston Churchill said a long time ago, we shape our buildings, we build them, but then thereafter they shape us. And that leads to the basic question that we'll be working with you in the community on, to say, well, how are these libraries really supporting your mission, transforming lives, providing service, but how are they also limiting them, and how can, as you work forward, making investments to have the libraries be more in sync with where you are today and where you're going in the future. So the opportunities and the frame purpose and scope of this here are, of course, that you have many libraries that are inaccessible, and many are outdated. And typically in the lifespan of a building, you hope it lasts 50 to, and your building's over 100 years. In a 30 to 50 year life, you should expect to reinvest what you paid to build it in that period of time. A 100-year building, you probably would be rebuilding 3 times. And I don't think those investments had been made before. Your buildings were built over multiple generations. It's an important time to make those investments again, to start renewing those. Your issue 3 provides the resources and the mandate to make those improvements. And of course, the main library here in Price Hill and ADA, various ADA projects are underway. And so one of the things that we were excited about in you bringing us on board is the commitment that you've made to have robust community staff and stakeholder engagement. The library is in the community business, and they involving the community in every aspect of the planning process is something that is done around the country and can be done in a managed, organized way to have balanced expectations, get input that will make the projects that you do much better. And the facility master plan is that tool that you can have to define and sequence the projects. You have a lot of needs, and of course, even though you have significant resources through issue 3, you can't rebuild everything, nor would you, do you need to, nor would you want to. So understanding what's the best way to go about that to best be successful. So our scope right now, our short-term scope that we'll be finishing up before November, has 2 phases. The first is establishing the framework with you through this board workshop, and the next one that will come back on the 11th. Today's brief presentation I'm giving now is really just an intro to what we'll be doing in the longer special meeting on the 11th, where I think we'll have a 90-minute session to go into depth with some of the things I'll just be giving you an outline for today. And then what was the desire to start the engagement right away, and we have to be careful not to do ready, fire, aim. So it was important to do phase 1 first to get that framework. And so when we start meeting with the public, and the word start is important, it's not we're going to meet on the September 26th and 27th and say, okay, we're done. That's the public engagement we had. It's the beginning of a longer process. And so when we meet there, it's going to be laying out what we'll work out with you on the 11th, and be able to communicate to the public generally what is the framework that you'll be looking for moving forward for the steps and process here, and that we'll use as an opportunity to start hearing from the community what their hopes and dreams for improved facilities can be. And just to be clear, that leads into a future phase that is not part of the present scope, which is the facility master plan. This is what I said before about the planning to plan. This is setting the framework for that plan. And so that scope will be determined now, and then you'll go through an RFQ process, and then a FMP, facility master plan process, which usually takes between 6 months to a year, will go on. You say, well, we have to wait for the important projects. We have ceilings that need to be repaired. There's the floor that was just repaired downstairs. These things can go on. It's customary in large library systems that you'll have work underway, and it will be dovetailed into the planning work. Excuse me. So why plan? It's almost obvious, but we'll all come up with different reasons. Planning, just want to make sure you can maximize the utilization of your resources. You want to make sure every dollar you invest is spent in an intentional and thoughtful way. There's really an opportunity here, and it's important. You don't want to create improved buildings that you can't keep the lights on and the doors open. These facilities only thrive when they're open, and so making sure sustainable operations are a key factor in this. You want to prepare for opportunities. That's also being a way to work with your communities. If someone has a new site they want to share with you and say, hey, I have this little yard behind my house, can you build a library there? Well, if you don't know what you need, then how do you answer that person? Say, well, we actually need 3 acres for this site. Is it as big as that? And it's not necessarily a friend or a neighbor, but it could be one of your jurisdictions that you serve might offer you land. And through this, people are going to want to knock on your door. When are you going to repair my branch? When are you going to do this project? This gives you a chance to lay out a framework that says when these projects generally will happen and the reasons that they might move forward in the schedule or take advantage of opportunities and other ones that we can hear from you. So just to say that you're following in well-tried footsteps here. A lot of these other large library systems and others, ones we've worked with and others who we haven't had a chance to. And I'll show you just a couple of examples of the Multnomah County, Oregon. That's the county which Portland is located in. And so their facility master planning process was a year-long process. They really are quite simple assessment strategies, capital planning phase, and they have separate subtasks under them. And I'll call your attention to the bottom part of it, which is the robust engagement tasks that went on parallel to it. And not any one of these plans is one size fits all. We'll work with you to determine what are the services that are appropriate to be done in-house by consultants or if you've already completed. But community surveys involving staff, having community conversations with regular users, non-users, disadvantaged communities, others, being creative on how to go work with them, working with the business community, different language communities. These are all opportunities to get people's input. And similarly, you have this rich library system with these 40 branches in this large main library. There's planning needed for both. Sometimes you'll work in a library system where they are going to ignore their main library and just work in branches, where they just built a new main library and neglected their branches, so they have to do one or the other. Here, it's really a good opportunity to plan both of them, and they work together as a system here. And so this was a work where we were reimagining the opportunities for the central library in Portland, and similarly, there are lots of opportunities here. And again, we're not in this next couple of months going to be reimagining your this library. It's setting the process by which you can do so, because there are numerous conversations. So those three-lined, the graphic schedule has these 7 main components of facility master plan, which we're going over with staff, and we'll get your input on the workshop to see which of these components and how deep do you go and how much is staff and or consultant work to do. And I'll briefly walk you through at a very high level what each of these are. So the vision. So you have your mission, vision, and key values here. And so what is your philosophy of library service? We'll have that as the anchor. How about operations and automated materials handling? How do you get out in the community? In the middle picture, how do you work with community partners like CRC or others? What's your vision of library facilities? How do you respect and honor the traditional architecture that you have, and also create impactful wow experiences on new and renovated buildings? So part of that is you have to do, and you have a lot of this already conducted, facility evaluations on accessibility, the life cycle of building sustainability, how it fits with the customer experience and your service model, and just to show you briefly, customer mapping, because you have such a big geography in all these. This map has each yellow dot on the left map is a home location of someone who went to the yellow dot library in the middle of this slide here, and it showed that across the city of Olathe in Kansas, that literally almost every street that has homes on it had people visiting that one library. And the the image on the right is their Indian Trail Library, the green dot towards the right end. And you see in the upper left, people on those same streets, maybe to a lesser degree, were also traveling to it. And each community we go to, this tool, amongst other tools, could be useful to understand people's travel patterns and to use one or more libraries. And it can help you, thinking back again at your map, all libraries don't need to be the same. They're not all the same now. And as you think about providing equal access and equity across the community, there might be strategic ways to leverage your resources so that work with people's travel patterns. So that translates to part of the planning that we really recommend that you do, we call system design, which is right now we have libraries that aren't quite distinguishable about what their roles are. There's sort of smaller ones and bigger ones with more hours and less hours. And some of your peers and others there, you could have different roles for libraries based on their sort of catchment areas and how they work with the other ones around them, and to work out a strategy for that. And that's a great way to take, while you have significant resources through issue 3, they're not enough to do everything you would want to do. And so this is a way to help make sure they're out. So then once you've created all those levels of foundation for it, then you come up with the list of the improvement recommendations for your branches, main, and how it will be that you can operate them. And those turn into things, a little margin on the left side there, which projects get reconstructed? Do any of them get relocated? Do you have any new facilities or other projects completed? And as an example, this was from Spokane Library, where you'd look at what the sort of customer experience was when the library was originally built. Here it was mostly about books, staff, and meeting, where you think about what's the new roles the library have. Books are still a part of it, but it's about collaboration, discovering, learning, creation. And so these are parts of the sort of tools that you may want to have part of your facility master planning. Then getting to phase 6, implementation planning. So you really want to make sure that whoever you're working with, you're not going and just saying, well, let's just hear everybody's wish list, and the next thing you know, you've got $2 billion worth of needs. And it wouldn't be that difficult to have the community tell you about too. We would love to have 30,000 square foot libraries in every neighborhood. It'd be a lovely, lovely world, but that's not an economic reality for it. So wondering how we can get the best delivery of that. So development of cost models for it and looking at different options for it will be part of that work. And then looking at the phasing of the work, because your resources from issue 3 aren't all sitting here in your pockets right now. It's going to be delivered over a period of time, and figuring out the sequencing of the work to be most impactful and to make sure that your customers are being treated equitably. Then, most importantly, our the 7th category is engagement. And here we have a matrix here that talks about the different roles of and types of engagement of informing, consulting, involving, and collaborating. In a facility master plan, there will be topics that touch upon all of these aspects of it. At a minimum, you're always going to be informing the public, and your promise to the public is to keep everybody informed and having information available. But often there are many opportunities to get consultation. We want to learn and listen to people, and we want to share what we hear so everybody else can hear it, because the library will have dozens, if not hundreds, of conversations, and people only know the ones that they were participating in, having the resources out there. And then there are opportunities between involve and collaborate where you can present various options to various stakeholders, both internal and external, residents, businesses, and the rest, and get their input. Eventually that, of course, comes back to you for you to be making the decisions for. But all of this can be seen as is about managing expectations, and when you engage the community, it's telling them well, this part we're informing you on, this part we're collaborating with you on, and being clear on that. And so one of the tasks we'll be asking you to do at the September 11th workshop is to help establish what the key principles are for this planning process. Some example principles that we have, and you could keep these, delete them, add to them, are that you'd like a system to, this planning effort to be innovative, that we want people not just to be about preserving what you have, but to innovate and to evolve. Another one could be about making sure we're value oriented, that we're really trying to see, and that might be translated to being impactful, getting good expenditures and good value from the investment. The third one might be the community, and there are a lot of ways to expand upon this, hearing diverse voices here, making sure your investments reflect and celebrate the community. Sustainability, we're talking both environmental, if that's important, community value, and operationally for sure, and other values. So this is what we'll be coming back to. So that is the quick summary of what we're doing, and happy to answer any questions if you have them. And we look forward to coming back at a minimum with you next month.
Thanks, David. Very,
Thank you.
very concise. Looking forward to working with you.
So we'll go back. We have some recommendations from the committee that the board take a number of actions, and Molly, if you want to go through the revisions.
Okay. The first one is revision of the 2018 estimated resources and annual appropriation. Authorize the following revision. In the general fund, increase intergovernmental receipts by $833,261.15, and increase earnings on investments by $66,738.85, for a total increase of $900,000. And then on the expenses, library materials and information, increase that by $500,000, increase purchase and contracted services by $250,000, and increase capital outlay by $150,000 to also equal $900,000. The increase in the revenue is the result of a revised PLF estimate for 2018 that came in $833,000 more than we had originally anticipated. And the increase in appropriations is primarily due to increase in library material needs as a result of the growth in e-book circulation and costs related to the purchase and operational setup of the distribution center. The next thing is the 2019 budget. We had approved the budget at the April 9th board meeting. After we received the levy passed, the county came back and asked us to approve another budget. Everything, and I won't go through all the detail because everything is essentially the same, with the exception of the breakdown of the revenue between the public library fund and the local tax levy. I've shown there that basically we split it out between the two to what we now anticipate the new levy to be bringing in. This is because we do a needs-based budget, so we're just shifting the revenue source. And everything else remains the same in the budget. And we can do this now or do it later, but this does need to be a roll call. Everything else can be now.
Let's do it now.
Okay. All right, so I need a motion.
So moved.
Okay, and second?
Second.
Okay, Mrs. Trout?
Aye.
Mr. Moran?
Aye.
Mrs. Lamacchia?
Aye.
Ms. Conant?
Aye.
Okay. And then I think, Monica, we can go ahead.
Sure. So let's talk about the 2018 branch accessibility, Walnut Hills, Price Hill, and Madisonville. I'd like to authorize the interim Eva Jane Remain Coombe Director to enter into a contract with FTC&H as the firm most qualified for the project. The library received statements of qualifications from 9 firms interested in providing architectural and design service for the 2018 branch accessibility, Walnut Hills, Price Hill, and Madisonville projects, and ranked the top 3 firms as follows: FTC&H, Glazer Works, and GBBN. 2018 Energy Retrofit Phase 3 Main Library, like an authorization of the interim Eva Jane Remain Coombe Director to enter into a contract with Motes Engineering as the firm most qualified for the project. The library received statements of qualifications from 4 firms interested in providing engineering services for the 2018 Energy Retrofit Phase 3 and ranked the top 3 firms as follows: Motes Engineering, CMTA, FTC&H. Authorization for public bidding, 2018 Main Library Roof North Building. Authorize the following bid advertisements for roofing work: and further authorize the interim Eva Jane Remain Coombe Director to review the bids with the Chair of the Facilities and Finance and Audit Committee and enter into a contract with the lowest responsible bidder. The advertisement for bids is there. Sealed bids will be received by the Board of Trustees of the Public Library of Cincinnati and Hamilton County at the third floor administration offices. There's a time for that. There's some more details about what is to be included in the bid and the proposals. And there's a summary of the work for the proposal is roof replacements at Main Library North Building. There is a pre-bid meeting which will be held in the tower room on the third floor of the main library Friday, September 7th at 9 a.m. It should say 18. Sorry about that. And then there's further information regarding the submission of the bids and a bid guarantee and comply with the prevailing wage rates on public improvements in Hamilton County. Submitted bids shall not be withdrawn for a period of 60 days following the date of bid opening. And the board does reserve the right to reject any and all bids and to waive informalities in bidding. The notes will be posted on the Public Library of Cincinnati and Hamilton County website and can be found by a link on the homepage. The Deer Park lease. Approve an addendum extending the lease term of the Deer Park branch at 3970 East Galbraith Road for an additional 3 years through August 31st, 2021 at the same monthly rental payment of $4,532.60 for the first year and approximately 2% increases for the second and third year, the first increase since 2014. 2018 Main Library Flooring and Bathroom Renovation Project update. Confirm the following approved change orders primarily for floor preparation. Kramer and Feldman, Inc. change order 2 for $12,243.51. Second for change order number 3, Kramer and Feldman, Inc. $370. Most of the tile and carpet has been installed. The cork flooring will be installed next. The electric and plumbing work is complete in the bathroom and the drywall is being hung. The work is expected to be completed by the end of August. Deduction of membership dues from payroll. Authorize the withholding and remittance of Ohio Library Council membership dues on the employee's behalf. In accordance with the Ohio Revised Code, we need board authorization to make such deductions from payroll. We will also require signed consent from the employee prior to deducting the amount.
If we have many employees sign up for membership,
We do, yes, and this has really increased. We started this last year, if you remember, and
Yeah.
it really increased our membership. They
Good.
seem to appreciate it very much.
there's a lot of material they can.
Absolutely.
The next item is for information only. First is regarding the Price Hill branch. Price Hill branch has been closed to the public since July 5th, 2018 as a result of a section of the ceiling collapsing. Subsequent to the collapse, the structural integrity of the remaining ceiling is of concern, and initial environmental testing detected the presence of mold spores. In order to continue serving our customers, we have secured a temporary location in the Cincinnati Recreation Center building near the branch, and we're currently providing many library services during the open hours of the CRC building, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. The current arrangement with the CRC is in place through August 31st. We are committed to maintaining service in the community until a long-term solution is in place. An update on the distribution center. We closed on the distribution center at 1130 Finley Street on July 11th. We recently held an open house for the staff. We plan to relocate to the new space. We're in the process of ordering the equipment for the center and completing the necessary improvements to the space to meet our needs. Roofing project update. All of the roof work is complete. There are 2 pending change orders, as I mentioned earlier, that will be confirmed in October. OCRC claim. The library has been notified that we are a respondent in the case of Mario Cooper versus Main Library. The case involves an incident which occurred on library property with a customer being cited for open container. The library is working with the Hamilton County Prosecuting Attorney's Office on the response. That's the end of the
Okay,
report.
we have, you making a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Aye. Okay, next on the agenda is the director's report.
Okay.
Before we go into the director's report, I just want to ask for a moment of something that's not entirely on the agenda, but because we're talking about Price Hill, I did want to, this is kind of odd, but I have been doing the weekly updates here for the staff to keep everyone informed about some things that are going on. So I had asked Monica if we could just take a quick minute. This particular weekly update, you can see it in the background, gives a little bit of a brief description about the Price Hill spot and also does some film that you can see what's going on. So if you will allow it, it's about a minute and a half. So we'll see if we can get it here. And I'll see if I
Hi,
can.
I'm Paula Brown-Peter, your interim Eva Jane Germain Coon Library Director, and I'm excited this week to do the video post as we come to the end of a very successful summer adventure. Thanks to everybody for all of your hard work. It's been one of our most successful summers ever. Last week we shot our video post from the distribution center, the new distribution center site. Thanks to all staff who came out for the open house out there. We had a great turnout, and there are plans for another open house. So watch for an announcement. If additional staff want to check out that site, you'll be welcome to do so. This week I'm actually at the Price Hill Cincinnati Recreation Center site to check out the new space. It's right behind me. Highlighting the efforts that the staff are making to ensure we continue to offer in-person library service to our Price Hill customers. The temporary location has been up and running since July 16th, which is pretty fantastic because that was actually less than a week after we closed the permanent location. We came over here, and as you can see, we're in a much smaller space, but the staff are continuing to do all they can to offer service from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. Those are the same hours as the CRC site, so in an effort to make sure that customers understood they could come in and use the library, we made the hours the same for the library and the CRC site through the end of August. As I shared, I think, in one of my previous video posts, we are continuing to provide service here that includes offering books, movies, magazines for browsing and checkout. Customers can still pick up and put items on hold for pickup here at this site. We are doing our summer adventure program as well. We have 6 laptops that offer access to the same software that we offer at all of our locations.
And I think that is the end of the little B-roll, but I did want everyone to know, and I also wanted to formally thank the CRC for their
I really want to
accommodating
compliment you
us.
on doing these blogs. It's really great. Keep the employees informed.
Yeah, I think people enjoyed seeing that, so just thank you for indulging me on that one. We'll go on with my report. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll start off with the 2017 Circulate rankings. So among libraries included in the PLDS, which is a statistical report that's released every July, our library was 3rd in total circulation in the United States. King County did sneak in above us this year, but only New York Public and King County reported higher circulation, and we do remain the top circulating library in Ohio for a 2nd consecutive year.
Where's King County?
They're out in Seattle, out in the, yeah, so we always sort of go back and forth, but they got just ahead of us, so we're 3rd there. But we are ahead of Multnomah, which David noted a couple of times, so yay. I also want to take a quick moment to introduce our new Chief Strategy Officer, Beth Yoke. Beth is here at the table. On August 12th, which was Sunday, so Beth just joined us as the Chief Strategy Officer. She comes from the Young Adult Library Services Association, a division of the American Library Association, the largest professional library association in the country. And she held the position of Executive Director, extensive experience with strategic planning and implementation, translating mission and goals into operational plans with clear benchmarks and outcomes. She has a lot of experience in project management, communication, data analytics, and those will all serve her well in the new role. There's a little bit of information. She graduated from Gettysburg College, and she does have her MLS from Louisiana State University. Welcome, Beth.
Thank you.
How did we find you or you found us?
A little both. So, yeah.
Great. I did want to note some legislator visits we have been doing. So we had hosted several over the summer. Representative Catherine Ingram, she visited Maine West End College. She observed our summer meal program, some brain camps at Westwood. Also had Representative Bridget Kelly at Norwood to visit brain camps where we had to practically pull her away. She was having such a good time. And Representative Bill Seitz did visit the summer meal program at Covedale. All the state legislators have been invited to visit the library over the summer, and we really hope to see them again in the fall. A little bit of information about some of the sale results. So the Friends held their quarterly meeting on July 27th. They gave us the results from the annual book sale, which, as you may have remembered, was actually held at the warehouse in Wyoming. And they announced gross sales of just over $57,000, which is a slight increase from last year. They're
Wow.
really excited about that, yeah.
Virtually no parking.
Yeah, I know. They used a little bit of parking across the street.
Okay.
Yeah, and people were thrilled, and they really were positive about the experience, which we're thrilled about. We're very happy. And ATLA, the Anderson Township Library Association, they held their sale, and they were at $32,786, about $3,000 more than 2017. So all good news. The Friends sale, the Friends of the Library rather than ATLA, they had their sale going on just recently over the weekend, so we'll have some more information about their results soon as well. Orange Boy Idea Exchange. Each summer, Orange Boy, which is a vendor that we use to help us connect with our customers and understand how people are using the library, they hold an idea exchange for their clients in their offices in Columbus. Angela Hirsch and Chris Rice from our marketing department went this year, and they presented choosing the right marketing channels. So they go every year, and they have apparently got a bit of a following among other library staff. So thank you to those guys. Speaking of conferences, I'm going to be attending the Urban Library Council's Leadership Forum in Baltimore in September. The theme is Leading Forward, and the focus is on leadership in the community, offering insight into how public libraries position themselves as key influencers in the communities they serve and essential partners to our top elected and appointed leaders. So very excited about that. I'd noted the weekly video blog here, and I did want to just point out that we have received really positive feedback. It's been a great way for me to connect with staff, and I think it's been very well received. Some good comments to us. Is a great way to touch base, and people find it helpful, and it does seem to give them a little bit of a morale boost. So good things there. We have our annual staff retiree and volunteer recognition event coming up on November 4th, and this year we're doing it a little bit different. We're going to have it preceded by the volunteer appreciation event in the hopes that some staff who maybe want to come to both can combine them into one and come here for the appreciation and then stick around for our staff our staff recognition event and our retirees recognition event. Open hours expansion. This is closing the loop on something we talked about at the last board meeting. We are working to increase our 44 open hours per week location to 48 hours per week, and we're trying to do that in a fiscally prudent manner. So changes to staffing levels at Walnut Hills and Avondale, including adding a full-time team librarian position and a small number of FTEs, will position those branches to be the first of the 44-hour locations to increase to 48 hours. This change should happen, I'm hoping, prior to the October board meeting. We did just fill those manager positions, so we should be in a good position to do that. The Price Hill branch is also positioned to increase open hours, but that will take place once the facility and location are more stable.
You've already increased it.
Yeah, they sure have. No kidding.
7 to 9.
I know, 7 to 9. I know, and they're doing a great job. Part of the reason we did that, as was noted, was to keep it in line with the CRC site. But the CRC site is not open to the general public on Saturday and Sunday. So thank you to the staff at Price Hill, because they are keeping those hours so that people who work will have the opportunity to do it 5 days a week. Is a little tighter than 6, so that's been great. We did have a screening of the public, which was held on July 12th at the Esquire Theater in Clifton. About 200 staff attended. It was a really fun event. Emilio Estevez himself was there, and he provided a personal invitation noting his gratitude and thanks to the library and to the library board. And we do want to thank Mr. Estevez, Film Cincinnati, and Esquire for allowing our staff an opportunity for a sneak peek of that film. And then we have the library closing schedule.
When is that film going to be distributed?
And I look at Chris Rice. We're hoping in November, correct?
So, it's being special presented at Toronto
Oh,
at the beginning
okay.
of September, and
Yeah.
odds are it'll get a distributor then, and his goal is, his hope is to have.
Toronto has a big film
Yes.
festival there.
Yes.
His goal is to have it actually in theaters. There's a homeless week, but I can't recall the name of, because it's like 15 words in November, that week.
Okay.
So we'll keep you posted on that when we hear all about it. Okay. And that, I believe, concludes my report.
Okay, and just note, the other trustees on the board meeting dates for
Okay.
next year. So is there a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Aye.
Okay. Moving on back.
Next, I think we have a little proclamation. We'll turn it over to Monica.
Are you ready, Barb? This one's for you. Whereas Barbara W. Trout was first appointed to the Board of Library Trustees on December 13, 2011 by the Board of County Commissioners of Hamilton County for a full 7-year term expiring September 30, 2018. And whereas Mrs. Trout served for 7 years as a valued member of the Board of Library Trustees, including Vice President of the Board in 2017. And whereas while she served on the board, the library received national recognition, including the National Medal for Museum and Library Service in 2013, and consecutive 5-star ratings from Library Journal in 2013, 14, 15, and 16. And whereas while she served on the board, the library use reached record levels, resulting in the library being the 2nd busiest in the United States in 2016 and the 3rd busiest in 2017. And whereas Mrs. Strauss supported the building or renovation of library branches in nearly a dozen Hamilton County communities, including Avondale, Pleasant Ridge, Clifton, St. Bernard, Reading, Loveland, and Green Hills, creating accessible spaces and upholding the library's mission of connecting people with the world of ideas and information. And whereas throughout her tenure on the board, Mrs. Trout expressed her support and commitment to the library's vision to excel in customer service, to be the first choice for information, to anticipate and meet the changing needs of the community, to assure equitable access to the library's resources and services, and be a dynamic force in the community. Now, therefore, be it resolved in recognition of her years of devoted service, the members of the Board of Trustees thank and commend Barbara W. Trout for her dedicated service to the Public Library of Cincinnati and Hamilton County. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be spread upon the minutes of the Board of Trustees of the Public Library of Cincinnati and Hamilton County. Congratulations.
Thank you. A lot has gone on in these last 7 years. It's very impressive, and I really have been glad to be a part of it. I almost didn't think I was going to make it today because every channel was blocked. The 71 was blocked. Every place I had to keep turning around and coming down different roads. So I finally got here. I started about 3:45, so I got here about 4:30. But thank you so much, and it's really been an honor, and I'm very humbled to be a part of it. And thank you so much for
Thank you.
all of your kind words.
Good job. Okay, Strategy and Technology Committee. Monica, I think that'd be you.
Yes, please. Thank you. All right. The strategy and technology items. First is the Book Rich Environmental CMHA Partnership Events. The library partnered, as we did last year, with the Cincinnati Metropolitan Housing Authority to promote book-rich environments within Hamilton County. During the summer, the CMHA arranged 3 barbecue events at Winton Terrace, Millvale, and Stanley Row as an opportunity for the library to distribute books to children and families within the community. This program reached 1,020 people and 8,964 books were distributed. Delighted to say that the pop-up preschool will be expanding this fall. So after a successful pilot of the pop-up preschool at the Deer Park branch in the spring, this initiative is expanding this fall and will be offered again at our library's Deer Park and also at our St. Bernard locations. Planning is underway as the library collaborates with the YMCA to support these 2 sites. We have an auto renewal feature implemented for up to 8 renewals. On August 1st, the library began auto renewal of items due on August 3rd as an automated customer service improvement. We continue to provide a courtesy extension to customers for the first loan period, and then items are automatically renewed at the end of each successive loan period if there are no holds for other customers or other account blocks. South Building Book Locker, we're planning to purchase a Biblioteca book locker to be placed inside the Vine Street entrance of the main library South Building. This unit will have 20 lockers, a kiosk for checking out materials, and an item return locker. Customers will be able to check out and return items using these lockers. Next item, lynda.com access via Oplin. The Ohio Public Library Information Network, Oplin, has announced that through an agreement with LinkedIn, Anyone with a valid Ohio library card will have free access to the online courses from lynda.com beginning in September. The agreement is the first of its kind in the nation between LinkedIn and a statewide system of public libraries. The library began subscribing to lynda.com in 2015. It has proven very popular. In July, over 9,000 users viewed more than 30,000 videos on subjects such as programming, HTML, and graphic design. We have had our own subscription to lynda.com, and as a result of this agreement, we will likely receive a refund check for the remainder of our subscription year, 2018, and save over $20,000 annually while still providing access to this valuable resource for our customers. So we have a launch of Alexa skills next. Alexa skill is now available to the public. Anyone with an Amazon Echo device or the Alexa app on their smartphone can use it. Customers and staff can search for library events for any date or age group at any of our locations. We will begin including statistics about the Alexa service in September's statistical reporting. Next is the Discovery Pass. The library is launching a new program to inspire residents to discover local cultural and recreational institutions. Currently branded the Discovery Pass, this program will provide library cardholders with free or discounted passes to arts, cultural, and recreational attractions throughout Hamilton County. The initiative is launching with passes from great parks of Hamilton County and the Betts House, and will expand as other partners are confirmed. Customers will be able to reserve passes using an online reservation system. And last, a little report on the Overdrive Digital Bookmobile visit. So the Overdrive Digital Bookmobile, powered by the vendor that supplies a very large number of our digital materials, travels across the country to libraries and schools excuse me, to spread awareness, showcase digital collections, and help customers through the steps of using the Overdrive service. The Digital Bookmobile visited our Green Township location, where nearly 120 customers toured the Bookmobile. WLWT Channel 5 and Local 12 provided live coverage from the event. And that's the end of the
Okay,
report.
I don't think we need approval for that, so
No.
I'll let you catch your breath. Turn it over to Betsy for Human Resources Committee.
Okay, the Human Resources Committee has selected June Garcia of the June Garcia LLC to conduct the national search for the library's next Eva Jane Remain Coon director, and she's already started her work on that. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission charged a ruling, and on Monday, July 2nd in 2018 at 8:50 a.m., the Human Resources Director, Carl Allison, received a letter via the post from the EEOC that contained a ruling on the charge of discrimination filed by Court Motley. The charge of discrimination based on disability was dismissed by the EEOC, and it is closing its file on the charge. And that
Okay.
is all just information only.
Library experience. Go back to you.
I get back to me. Okay, this morning, Lisa Soper is the Youth Services and Programming Coordinator for Programming Services, and she is our visitor this morning. Where's she?
There we go.
She earned her MLS in 2006 from Indiana University, Purdue University in Indianapolis, and joined the library in 2010 as a children's librarian in the Children's Learning Center, where she was named a Rookie of the Year. In 2012, she was appointed position of reference librarian at Groesbeck and was promoted to the senior position of the children's librarian at the Harrison branch. She has been serving in her current role as the Youth Services and Programming Coordinator since 2016. She's been visiting all our branches for her. And before joining the library, she was a children's librarian in Lawrenceville, Indiana, and is a graduate of the 2014 class of Library Leadership Ohio, and is currently serving as chair of the Association for the Library Service to Children's National Institute Planning Task Force. That's a mouthful.
Yeah.
And you have a good,
Right over to that one, right over there, Lisa.
props.
Yes, oh yeah, right,
Right.
excellent.
Like a good children's librarian.
All right. So do you want me to?
Oh,
do we
no,
read
you can
this
just
first? I
speak
just
right
do my
from-
thing.
yeah.
Okay. So thank you for having me here today. I'm very excited to talk to you about our success with the Summer Adventure Program this year. And as the report is going to outline, we've got a lot of great numbers to report for this year. Our program includes 4 major elements. We have our summer reading program, the traditional program we've had for more than, I think, 45 years this year. And then we have the brain camps and the summer reading tutoring, which was new to us this year, and then our summer meals and snacks program. So I'm just going to kind of hit each one of those. Start out with the summer reading. It's our largest element of the program. And last year, if you remember, we rebranded. We made the change to Summer Adventure. And with that, we changed gears a little bit and included a lot of other learning opportunities for participants in addition to the reading that they could do during the summer. And so participants can get their summer reading passport to participate in that program. The program was very successful, so we kept that structure and just made a few small changes for the upcoming year. And mostly of that was to the prize structure.
Is that
So
program over now?
it is. It was June 1st through July 31st. So we just wrapped it up. And so with this few changes that we did make, our goals were to continue to increase the participation, see an increase that we saw last year, and then to increase the ongoing engagement that customers had with the library throughout the entire summer. Last year, we had kind of a fall, in the past, it's always kind of dribbled off a little bit as we get into the later months of the summer, as people are preparing to start going back to school. So we were hoping to try and keep that engagement throughout the summer. So people can check in with their passport once a week, and this year, a new element to that was that they got a scratch card when they came in and checked in. So with that scratch card, they could scratch to reveal what their prize was going to be for that check-in. So I brought some prizes with me. One option was a prize box. The prize box had small items that were designed for younger children, things like these are binoculars that they can make themselves. We had some playing cards. We also had some community partners that donated prizes, like United Dairy Farmers gave coupons for ice cream, Buskin gave coupons, Gold Star, the carousel at Smale, Carol Ann's Carousel. And then we also created some of our own. We created this little coloring book for the kids as an option as well. So if they got the prize box, they got to choose an item out of there. They also could have scratched and revealed that they got a free book. So we had a lot of those to choose from as well. And then the final option was our what we called adventure prizes, and that was our sort of bigger prizes. So we had tickets for various attractions like the zoo, the museum center, the Taft Museum, the Sign Museum. And then we also purchased some items like Lego bricks and some other learning tools and toys for kids over the summer, and got some gift cards. So with those elements, I need my notes. With all of those different elements, we saw a really huge increase in participation this year. So we did see a growth of about 12% in our number of people who registered for the program. But we saw a growth of it was about 97% in the number of people checking in throughout the summer. So it really stayed strong throughout the month of June. We actually saw an increase each week throughout the month of June. And then we did see it tailor off a little bit towards the end of July, but not much. We had about 7,000 check-ins the first week and about 6,000 the last week. So we grew a little bit in between and then tailored back off, but it was pretty close.
A lot of
So that
people
was
on
very-
vacation right before you-
Yes,
right
that's
before.
true. Yeah. And the holiday kind of, and after the 4th of July, we've always noticed in the past things kind of start to fall off. But we did see growth again after that week, so that was good.
Was your 12%, was that from new people, or did you manage to hold on from the kids from last year? Or a
We
bit of
don't
both?
track individual names from year to year, so we don't know for sure if they were all new people or new additions, but we saw 12% growth in the total number of people who signed up.
I just wondered whether you were getting
Yeah.
a lot more new ones every year, and
I think we do get, when we're getting, we have some of our customers that are sort of our old standbys, they sign up every year. And so I think over the last couple of years, we've gained some new participation. We moved away from the online program, which did give us that kind of data, but people found to be cumbersome and didn't really want to put the time and effort into using that program. So we don't have that kind of data as much as we used to when we did it online. But I do believe that we have seen new participation. That's the reports we're getting from people. So by the end of June, we had actually seen that our numbers in registrations as well as check-ins for the whole summer last year. So we saw that number by the end of June, halfway through the program this year. We matched that. And then continued to grow. And as I said, by the end of July, our check-ins had increased by 97%. And that just shows that people were continuing to stay engaged with the library and the program throughout the summer, rather than letting that peter off over the month.
Was there a particular area that increased more than any others?
We saw increase actually in some of our more urban branches, which was very exciting for us, because that's an audience that we struggle to reach and want to try and make sure that we are promoting the program to. So that we did see an increase in those locations in both registrations and number of check-ins. So a lot of work went into the planning for that. So I do want to make sure I thank our summer adventure planning team led by Elise French, who went in, planned the program for us this year, and we're getting ready to start planning for next year as well. So it starts in September. A couple other elements of the program I want to make sure I mention are our brain camps, and these are have been a staple of our program for the last several years. And we have the week-long brain camps, which take place on Mondays through Fridays at our main library here, as well as at several of our branches. And then we also have mini brain camps, which were introduced a couple of years ago, and that's just a one-time 2-hour program, and we did that at all of our locations. And we focused on those a little bit more this year. Last year we had a lot of interest in them. They all filled up very quickly. So this year we doubled the number, so each location presented 2 of those mini brain camps, and we had great success with those as well. We introduced the summer reading tutoring program this year too. That was a replacement or sort of a re-envisioning of our summer camp reading program that we've offered in the past, and focused more on the one-on-one tutoring sessions that the summer camp reading model provided. And that way we were able to expand and offer the program to twice as many children as we were able to reach through the summer camp reading program without increasing the costs of the program. And we did offer that at 10 locations. And we did pre and post testing at the beginning and the end of the summer. 91% of the children improved in at least one area of their reading skill. 75% showed growth in multiple areas, and 17% of the participants were reading at their grade level by the end, in all areas by the end of the summer. And finally, our summer meals and snacks program. Previously we called it summer lunch, but we've kind of expanded that a little bit. We've been offering snacks for the last couple of years, so for an extra chance for children in communities where food is, they experience a little more food insecurity, to be able to have opportunities for nutritious meals. And then we also expanded to offer dinner at a few locations this year. In the past, we had always focused on lunch, but a lot of people serve lunch, and there's not as many people in the community serving dinners. So we wanted to not compete with other options we might see, like in Price Hill, for example. They serve lunches there, so that we serve dinner at the Price Hill branch until they closed. And so that those kids could have an opportunity to get 2 full meals in their community during the summer. And then we added 2 new locations. Price Hill was one of them, and the St. Bernard branch served as well this year. So as I said, we're getting ready for planning for next year, so you'll be hearing more, I'm sure, about that. Any
I
questions?
just want to say that I witnessed firsthand the success of the summer reading program with my 2 granddaughters that are 5 and 7. They were so excited, and especially to be able, well, first of all, they got a free book.
Yes.
And then to pick something from the little box, oh my God, it took them forever. They had to go over everything, make their decisions, what was the best. They were
Yes.
talking between each other. It was just really, it was just really cute to see it, and I was just so happy that
Great.
this was such an opportunity for so many young children to be able to do that.
Great. Yeah, we did hear a lot of positive feedback from the community and from our staff as well about how great it was to have that interaction with the customers. And they did seem to really be showing that they were coming back week after week and really looking forward to scratching that scratch card. You wouldn't think that that would be so exciting, but it really was. And finding out what their prize was going to be, and being able to get that adventure prize as an option right then. In the past, we've given that away as a drawing. So they wrote their name on a piece of paper and dropped it in, and then who knows, they kind of forget about it. But then with the scratch cards, they can win it instantly and take it home with them right then. So that's a big bonus too. So I'm glad they enjoyed it.
Lisa,
Any
we
other
can
questions?
tell you're enthusiastic and passionate about your job, and we want to thank you for doing a great
you.
job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The library is again going to collaborate with the Children's Hunger Alliance to provide after-school snack service for children 5 to 18 throughout the school year. And this Hunger Alliance is a statewide nonprofit organization committed to improving each child's opportunity to be well-nourished and healthy. The Child and Adult Care Food Program, a reimbursement program through the United States Department of Agriculture, covers the cost. And the snacks meet USDA requirements. They're prepared and delivered locally by a food service company. And this year, 18 locations will serve these snacks. The Books by the Banks is going to have their 12th annual festival scheduled for Saturday, October the 20th from 10 to 4 p.m. at the Duke Energy Center. This celebration will feature approximately 155 national, regional, and local authors with book signings, author presentations, activities for kids and teens. Featured authors are going to include Alice McDermott, Jason Reynolds, Sarah Paretsky, Sharon Draper, and Thane Maynard. During the last 2 years, the organizations involved in planning and supporting the festival expanded to include Cincinnati Children's Hospital and Kenton County Public Library. This year, the artist Courtney Cooper of Visionaries and Voices has been selected to create the festival poster, and the unveiling of this poster to the public will occur on Thursday, September 13th from 5 to 7 at Visionary and Voices Visionarium at 3841 Spring Grove Avenue. The Library Foundation is accepting applications for the 2019 Writer in Residence through September the 4th. The author that we choose for this prestigious honor serves as the library's literary ambassador to the community. And thanks to the generosity of the Library Foundation and Naomi Gerwin, the author selected, they will receive a $10,000 stipend for their service. We have some upcoming events and exhibits, and a really special one with an evening with Ron Chernow. If you haven't read the book Grant, it's absolutely fantastic. As reported in the board in May, the Pulitzer Prize and National Book Award winning historian Ron Chernow will visit the Aronoff Center for the Arts on Monday, October 15th at 7 p.m. to discuss his newest book, Grant. Tickets will go on sale on August 15th and cost $5. A pre-show VIP reception will be held, and the VIP tickets will cost $100. And if you've read Grant, you can read Hamilton too. Both great books. Customers of all ages are invited to tour the universe through virtual reality, view the sun through a telescope, and enjoy hands-on crafts and activities at the main library on August 25th. Will there still be kids out of school at that time?
I think this program is in a Saturday. Yeah,
Oh, it's a
weekend
Saturday.
program.
I
yeah.
didn't look at the calendar. The library is partnering with the Cincinnati Observatory in this event, which is part of the NASA at My Library Grant Initiative. We have a teen fan art contest for customers 12 to 18 to be held from October 1st to 31st. The teens may submit photos, digital illustrations, drawings, or paintings inspired by any of their favorite stories at any library location or online. Chances are they'll do it online. They're better at that than going somewhere, I think. Teen Read Week will be October the 7th to the 13th. The 2018 theme, It's Written in the Stars, Read, hopefully will encourage teens to think and read outside the box, as well as seek out fantasy, science fiction, and other out-of-this-world reads. And as part of the Teen Read Week, Aisha Said, how do you pronounce it?
Said, I think, yeah.
Author of the young adult novel Written in the Stars, will visit the main library on October 12th. We have a photo focus exhibition, and in September, the main library is hosting 2 photography exhibitions in conjunction with Photo Focus. The first one is Michael Wilson, They Knew Not My Name and I Knew Not Their Faces. It will be displayed on the second floor connector from September 7th to December 31st and consists of a series of black and white portraits by Michael Wilson made in a portable studio set up in the neighborhoods across Cincinnati and Hamilton County, often outside some of our library locations. The second one is the Panorama of Progress, 170 years of Cincinnati skyline and photographic technology, and it will feature a modern recreation of the Cincinnati panorama of 1848 and will be on display in the Joseph S. Stern Jr. Cincinnati Room from September 29th to October 31st. The Association for the Library Service to Children will be holding its National Institute in Cincinnati from September 27th to 29th. This is one of the few conferences devoted solely to children's librarianship, literature, and technology, and it takes place every couple of years. Lisa Soper, the Youth Services and Programming
Since you don't
Coordinator,
have anything better to do.
Yeah.
she is serving as chair of the Planning Task Force, and a reception will be held for the Institute attendees at the main library on September 28th. Our annual Veterans Day commemoration, the 64th, will take place at the main library on Monday, November 12th at 10:45 a.m. This year's event will feature keynote remarks from WDBZ 1230 radio host Lincoln Ware. He is a Cincinnati native and a graduate of Woodward High School. He enlisted in the United States Marine Corps and was a member of the Armed Forces Radio and Television Service. He officially began his radio career in 1973 and currently hosts the Lincoln Ware Show, and he has received local and national honors for his work. That's the end of my report, and there's no voting on it.
Great, thank you. Fiscal Officer's Report.
Okay,
Molly?
I have 3 items for information only. The Ohio checkbook. The library's been working with representatives from the Ohio Treasurer of State's office since late 2016 on investigating the library's participation in the website. There have been several changes in the process and the timing over the last few years, which will facilitate our participation. We plan to complete our analysis of the cost and benefits of participating in the next few months and report back to the board in October. I would encourage everyone to, if you haven't, go and look at the checkbook to kind of see what it's like before we vote to go ahead and be a part of it. Lawsuit for a customer injury at Forest Park. The library has been named as a defendant in a complaint filed by an individual who alleges an injury from a slip and fall at the Forest Park Ranch in July 2016. The incident was reported immediately after it occurred to our insurance company. Great American Insurance Company has hired Montgomery, Rennie, and Johnson to represent them. And credit card legislation. On Friday, August 3rd, Governor John Kasich signed House Bill 312, the legislation that regulates the use of credit cards and debit cards by political subdivisions, including public libraries. The bill will be effective at the beginning of November, and then libraries will have 3 months to establish and implement a new credit card policy and procedures. Our current procedures are already fairly conservative, and the legislation will not impact how we currently use the card, but it will include more detail in the policy, and we will have the policy ready for review in December.
Okay, thank you. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We have anybody signed up for public comment?
We do. We have 4 individuals, and I'm happy to call out their names.
Great.
If you would just give me 1 second. I think we need to get our timer up here. If I can find it. Okay. Dario Soltzman.
Hi, everyone. So I'm with Our Library, Our Decision, the organization that fought to protect the sale of the North Building. My comment is about the current search for a new director, and I understand that you've had several public meetings, and I attended one of those meetings, and from that meeting, one of the things I did understand is that ultimately you, the board, will have the final decision of whoever you hire. So that's one reason why I'm reading this comment, which is from a library worker from the 2017 Staff Engagement Survey about what would make this a top workplace. The other reason why I'm reading this comment is because I also understand that the library workers have had a chance to offer their opinions to the person who's doing the job search as well. But in that 2017 staff engagement survey, the phrase fear appears over 80 times, specifically the idea of a culture of fear. And we had at least one library worker reach out to us to offer feedback about the current interim director, just because you may be in the running for it. So in terms of the culture of fear, there's still a lot of work to do, and so that's why I'm reading this comment about what would make this a top workplace in terms of who you're hiring for a director. We need an open and honest communication from senior leadership. The way the entire North Building fiasco was communicated reflects poorly on an organization that in theory is in the information business. This organization is incredibly top-heavy. Perhaps some financial resources should be shifted out of an administration that I frankly have no idea what they do and rerouted to the frontline staff that actually serve the public. It is the frontline staff that makes this organization shine in the eyes of the public. A healthy dose of transparency and open communication with both staff and the public would be good. I cannot stress enough how much the whole North Building situation has been one gigantic multifaceted failure. I don't want to dwell on that, but that is the comment. And then another very quick one. The negativity projected from the top of our organization down perpetuates a culture of fear and distrust and prevents meaningful and productive communication. I think that a lot of potentially fruitful conversations about improving our organization and services simply don't happen because of this climate of fear and distrust. So, what do we want in a new director based on these comments? We want someone who communicates openly and honestly with the public and the staff. We want someone who will run the library in a transparent manner, and we want someone who will actively engage the staff and the public in important decisions. I think the videos that you do that's certainly a very accessible way, but it needs to be a lot more than just that. Thank you.
Next, we have Mary Shartman. Oops, sorry, stop.
Yeah, you're good. Hi, I'm Mary Shartman, and I don't really have much to say today, except that related to the search for the new library director, we need a library director who is an advocate for the staff at the library and for the public who uses the library. With the, I don't know, kerfuffle of the North Building, we saw that the director was not an advocate for the public who uses the library, and from what we've heard from the staff engagement surveys and such, the director was not an advocate for the staff working at the library who make the library the awesome thing that it is. And so I just want to say we need a library director who is an advocate. Also in the North Building, we saw that there are a lot of forces outside the library and outside of all of our public goods. The public park in Burnett Woods, for example, that are trying to limit access and profit off of those from us. And the library director needs to stand up against these forces. They're just going to increase in their strength and ability. And we need a very strong library director who stands for workers and patrons against that. That's all. Thanks.
Okay, next we have Martin Mary.
Marks.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hello, everyone. I wanted to add on to the comments about what we would like to see as a upcoming new director for the public library. I would also like to read comments from the library workers survey about the kind of qualities that they would like to see. And I feel like that's the kind of voice that we need to be elevating. We need someone with a broad vision of the mission of the library That is not to say we need a library director who understands that the library is not simply a collection of books or digital resources. The library serves many different demographics who all have different needs. In addition to providing access to computers and books, the library provides much-needed shelter and access to bathrooms to people experiencing homelessness. Our library could also follow the example of other major libraries in providing social workers or healthcare workers to help the homeless find the resources that they need. The library provides a safe, supervised space for children whose parents are still at work when they are let out of school. Some of the branches already provide these kids with healthy snacks, as we've, to digress a little, as we've heard about in their summer program. But to continue, but what could we do more to accommodate them? The library frequently provides information and acceptance to kids whose gender and sexual identities subject them to harassment elsewhere. And how can the library better accomplish this to expand upon those services? The point is that we need, the library is especially valuable to many of the community's most vulnerable patrons. The best libraries and many of the PLCH's workers realize this too. And they do what they continue to look for are ways to better serve those patrons. We need a library director whose vision for the library is animated by a constant care for those who come through the library's doors. And I'm hoping that in your search, that you will find a director that puts the patrons first before corporate profit and before the needs of the business community. Really, what we need is to support the people who use the library, the folks who are disadvantaged, who don't have ready access to books or to the internet, who come here to expand their knowledge, to supplement their educations, because the public school system is also woefully underfunded. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Charles Campbell.
Good evening. My name's Charles Campbell, and I'm a member of the Our Library, Our Decision Coalition. I'm also here to talk about the search for a new library director. As you search for the new director, I strongly urge, and the coalition strongly urges you to listen to library patrons and workers. And as previous speakers did, I'm also going to read the words of a library worker from the staff engagement survey. This worker says, "The entire system operates on fear, which creates an uneasy place to work. Employees are afraid of making mistakes and getting unfavorable attention from senior management. We have been instructed to never ask the director or regional managers any questions when they visit. I have never worked in an environment where the management is so hostile to its workers. Also, senior management must clearly articulate why changes are made. For example, the value of the mobile checkout system has never been explained. It feels like it has just been implemented with a suck-it-up attitude. I assume there's a reason for this huge change, but it has not been presented in any clear manner for those people actually doing the work. For the employees, it feels like a humiliating change in work practices with no clear improvement in service. What are we missing? Tell us. This is a huge failure on the part of senior management." End quote. I and the coalition want to echo what this and other library workers have said. We need a library director who genuinely listens to the concerns of workers and patrons and who is open to revising their plans in light of those concerns. We need a library director who respects library workers. We need a director who is committed to ending the culture of fear at the library. And, this is really important for y'all to hear, who will foster democratic deliberation about major decisions about the future of the library. Since I do have about a minute remaining, I'd like to segue to another issue. Several months ago, without adequate warning and for no good reason, y'all removed a bunch of tables from the overpass down on the second floor, where a community of really wonderful men had been playing chess for many years, all right? And you moved those men to another set of tables in a very high traffic and uncomfortable area. I think it's time for y'all to make that right, and you can do that by replacing the tables into the overpass. And I think you can even go one step further. You can purchase some chess boards and chess clocks and make them available to check out so that you can foster this excellent, like, organic community that has grown up in your library space. So please take those comments to heart. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. That's it? Okay. Our next meeting is October 11th, Thursday, October 11th at 4:30 at the Harrison Branch Library. And with that, no other comments, we're adjourned. Thank you.